Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I'm the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. This is our 38th year. We have some amazing films. As always, our shorts programs are extraordinary. One of our favorite short blocks this year is Roots and Revelations, which is playing Tuesday, September 30th at 3 o'clock at the Midtown Arts Cinema. It's full of amazing films. And we have some filmmakers here today to tell us about their films. So we're going to go around the Zoom room and have everybody introduce themselves and talk a little bit about their films. And I'll start off with Erin.
Hi, I'm Erin Doyle Cooper. I am the director of Donor, which is a cringe comedy about family and infertility. In the film, a sister, after draining her savings with IVF, is waiting for her brother to give a sperm sample to get her wife pregnant. So, as you can imagine, there is a lot of really cringy, funny moments, but also really plays into family dynamics and all of the hard things that, we kind of avoid talking about when we're dealing with infertility.
Great. Thank you. Let's go to Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel. I'm the director of My Age Now. I'm so happy to be in this group with y'all. My film actually came out of kind of a queer core challenge, where someone was like, "If you have $250 in your bank account, can you make a film for that?" And I was like, "Absolutely, we're gonna figure this out." So we shot it in and around our house in Los Angeles with a lot of friends and favors. My sister edited, my friend did sound, another friend was an intimacy coordinator, and so we just wanted to kind of get back to that spirit of like, how do you just pick up a camera and make something and not have any kind of constraints on that. And so it was a real joy, and we had a day to shoot it, and I can't wait for y'all to see it. So thank you.
Great. Rebecca.
Hello, nice to meet you all. My name is Rebecca. I am the writer-director of a short called Tumtum. We shot it in London last year. I'm American, but I do live in the UK. And it's a coming-of-age queer Jewish short. It's set on Yom Kippur, which is coming up soon, actually, which is the Day of Atonement, and the holiest day of the Jewish year. And it's these two characters from quite different worlds coming together and basically challenging each other's values and meanwhile, the protagonist is really questioning their gender and sort of the intersection of queerness and religion. So that's the gist of Tum Tum. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Jay.
Hi again, Jim.
I would say, how are you?
I'm I'm tired, but I'm doing good. Hi y'all. I'm Jana J. I am the writer and director of Meet Me. Meet Me is a short queer romantic drama about a woman who is grappling with the idea of going to reconnect with her father, her absentee father, after the death of her mother.
Great. Jamie.
Hi guys. I'm Jamie. I'm the writer director of a short called There's Something I Have to Tell You. And it's the story of a daughter who goes to the Bahamas to help her mom build a house. But really, she's struggling to tell her something that had happened to her when she was younger. And the idea for this short, my mom lives in the Bahamas, and during the writer's strike, I was out there actually helping her build houses. And I kind of, stumbled upon this idea.
Great. Clayton.
I am Clayton Dean Smith. I am the writer and director of Kansas 1989. And it's just been a real passion project of mine to tell this story of a teenager in Kansas in the 80s on the verge of coming out and the night of danger that makes him realize the importance of charting your own path and coming into your own.
Great.
So we shot in Kansas on 60 millimeter film to really make it 80s. And it's based on true events, and I'm very grateful to be putting it into the world.
Great. Thank you. And Sabrina.
Hi, I'm Sabrina. I'm the director of Greenhorn. Greenhorn tells the story of Logan, who is a masculine presenting lesbian who goes back home to take care of her father after he's in a car accident. And while sort of setting up his home, she discovers his old ranchware when he used to be a ranch worker and starts like sort of discovering her masculinity through that. And when he comes home and sort of sees her, there's a bit of a reckoning. Yeah.
Okay, great. And we have a new guest. Hello.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, typical LA traffic was bad, so
We're introducing ourselves and telling everybody what your film is.
wonderful. My name is Taya. I'm just about to put the pronunciation guide here, Taya Lux. I'm the writer and producer of Donor. Erin Doyle Cooper, as you see, she is my director. So happy to be here. Thanks so much for having us.
Thank you all so much. So we have 7 extraordinary films in this program, and we have representatives from all 7 films. That's an honor. It's great to have you all here in this collective group. And again, kudos for an extraordinary program. But let's sort of go through the same order. But where are all of you now in your festival run, your film festival run? We'll start with Erin again.
Yeah, we are reaching the end of our festival run. We premiered at Holly Shorts last year. We are absolutely thrilled to be playing out on film now. And I'll say, because like I didn't mention it, that like this film was really important to me because I had been doing IVF at Holly Shorts the previous year, and Taya and I met on the festival circuit, and I was really ready to talk about that horrible experience, but I didn't want to do it in a sad way. And then she wrote this script and we were like, let's do it. So like while we were still both on the circuit with our last films, we shot it. And it's been a blast and an honor to take it around this year.
Daniel.
We're just kind of starting out. Like it's with this one, I think because of what the nature of the project was, we just kind of like tossed it out to a bunch of friends and festivals who we love, and it's been really, really fun. And kind of, we have this will be, I think, our 5th festival, and it's been, yeah, it's funny. It's the first time I haven't like thought about, like, usually you kind of put together like a list of festivals and you target it, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna send it out there to whoever, and we'll see how this goes. And it's been kind of awesome, and I'm meeting a ton of new wonderful people, and I'm so excited to finally get to be part of your festival. So thank you.
We're excited too. Rebecca.
This will be our world premiere, so thank you very much. It's so exciting. Um, like Erin was saying before, sadly, I can't be there in person, either, but I'm really, really excited for this festival to happen and for Tumtum to be a part of it and to meet you all today. Yeah, so you're kicking us off, which is really exciting.
Great, we're excited. Jay.
Yeah, this is actually the premiere for Meet Me. I was lucky enough to be in Out on Film last year with a different film. And I was really hoping that this foray into a new genre for me would do something. So I'm really excited about how that's going. It's so far, this is the first festival it'll be screened in first. There's like 2 more it got into so far. So I'm really hopeful for the story and seeing where it goes.
Great, thank you. Jamie.
Nice. So this is about the middle of our festival run. We originally premiered at the Beverly Hills Film Festival out here in LA. And we have, a couple festivals teed up already. I think 5 are pending after this one. So we're right there in the middle.
Oh, great. Okay, Clayton.
Yeah, this is the very beginning. I am thrilled that this screening is happening in 1 week. I've got Southern premiere here, Midwestern premiere, Michigan premiere, and then we've got a couple coming up in Kansas and New York after that, and I'm waiting for the rest of it. But this is the very beginning, so I'm just like, let's go. I'm so grateful. It can be a whole lot to be in pre-production, to be in production, to be in post. And like this phase is like wildly rewarding because we just get to connect with each other and have the story find audiences and meet people. And I just love this part. So I'm very grateful to be part of it.
Great. And Sabrina.
I would say midway through, it premiered at Ottawa International. Yeah, it's gonna play at maybe like 4 more after this one. This is the American premiere. It'll also play in Buffalo in the early October. Yeah.
Great. Okay, again, the same order, but um, the themes may be different in all of these films and the tones may be different. But one thing all these films do have in common is that they're very character driven. You all have done a great job with character. So talk a little bit about the challenge of creating character in films with a fairly compressed time. And obviously, I'll let Erin and Taya go first, talking about Donor.
Yeah, I'll hop on that. I worked with my co-star in an acting class where we played siblings, and we just had like a good energy together. And I try to write things that are shootable. So two characters, kind of like one location. And my philosophy is like you have two characters with opposing views,
Mm-hmm.
and then you fix it by the end. And so it was. I also come from like a devised theater background, so it was nice to like workshop the script with Erin and Michael Joplin and find how it can be like showcase what we're good at in our acting styles and whatnot. So it was a very collaborative process in that regard as well.
Yeah, we did. We workshopped in rehearsal, which I also come from a theater background, and you never get to do that in film. So having two actors that were down to do that and to like adjust and really dial in the characters to who they both are as people and as actors was such an amazing and rewarding process.
Thank you, Daniel.
I knew that I think it started basically with a lot of my younger friends. I feel like we're talking about how much sex they have, but how little intimacy they have. And that really fascinated me because I feel like as a young queer person, I was obsessed with intimacy and like finding the person who was going to kind of be my chosen family in my home. And so many of my younger friends now are like, they're terrified of intimacy. And so I think it started with wanting to explore that through character. And then also it's kind of a memory film. So my memory always feels experimental more than narrative. Like I can't really, I'm like, is that true? Is that not true? Did that happen? Did it not? Like, I feel like it's very image based, my memory. And so this became experimental because of that. And then also we wanted to explore making love on camera and like queer love making and not have it look like porn. I feel like so much of what I see is like guys in alleys and women and like it's like, and I was like I want to see two men make love the way anyone makes love and so that was really important to me. So it's graphic in that way, but it feels like to a point. And I was really proud of the actors because they were so bold, and so I don't think I've ever laughed more on a set for that much nudity and craziness. I don't think I've ever laughed more in my life on a set. It was so much fun and they were so joyful, and just the actors, like hats off, they were so bold and extraordinary. So yeah.
Rebecca.
Character always feels like the biggest thing for me. Um, and I love lots of dialogue, but I think in this instance, because it's a character that is very much like stuck in their own brain and feels quite isolated and just like operates from a place of fear. Actually, I think in this film, what was really helpful is the nonverbal moments and seeing the character watch this girl that they had this interception with and how that affects them. So I think for me, actually, in this instance, trying to really lean into the moments where there was less dialogue, even though my producers would still say there's a lot of dialogue.
Jay.
Yeah, so it's really interesting with this story because I am by trade a horror writer. So during my time at Howard University for my MFA in film, this was the very first script I wrote there, and I was terrified of the script. It was very um, personal and very intimate for me, not specifically my story, but parts of my story came up in writing the script, and I wasn't ready to confront myself. So when I got the chance to collaborate with another great Atlanta film collective, through resisting narratives of erasure, I was able to get a grant to shoot that film, and both of the actors that I cast for the story were actually first time actors. One of them is a musician, and the other is she just wanted to act. She was a nurse and decided she wanted to act, and their chemistry on set was just so profound. So though the story is about the unsureness of going somewhere, you returning to a place you never really wanted to go to begin with, you're able to see how these two women decide to hold each other up in that moment of anxiety and fear, which was really amazing to watch them come together.
Jamie.
Jay, I really relate to what you were just saying because my story is also, deeply personal to me, not an exact retelling of my own life, but carries many of its emotional truths and themes. And it's also a story that handles very delicate subject matter. It's a story about a daughter telling her mom about being assaulted when she was a child. And so, it was definitely a lot to hold. And the script was very nuanced. There was a lot between the words, and really it just came down to my actors. I had two incredible actors, Reagan Kelly and Suzanne Covey, and they both just carried the story with so much grace. And we were able to have these really intimate conversations that there's so much that's left unsaid, and you see it on the characters' faces. And that is kind of how I feel like the characters were really portrayed the best, is through the incredible acting I was able to have.
Clayton.
Such great commentary, y'all, and it's such a good question. This is based on true events, and so it is not an exact retelling, of course, because we make things and we interpret things and whatever. But it also was, and we shot there, and all the actors are and the crew, everything was Kansas. And in the real story, the two main protagonists are a 16-year-old and a 17-year-old. In real life, that 17-year-old grew up to be a professional person in the industry in Kansas City, and he was my casting director. So we had the opportunity of being in the audition room and callbacks with these young people, checking with each other about where this measured up with our memory of events and of the time. And that was a very distinctive, surprising way to make sure that we were doing justice to the story by casting people who were bringing a kind of tone and availability that we knew was important in the storytelling. So the writing from life thing, I think, makes this question different, because it's like, well, what's the balance between what really happened versus what is the intention of the story? Where does it need to land for people, hopefully, and how can we write that to achieve that? So it was an interesting journey.
Sabrina.
Yeah, in terms of character, it's also really based off my life. It's during the pandemic, was having a kind of a tough time with I guess, coming into my own skin, and I had to go back home and take care of like a dying relative, and it kind of led me to, mm, it was really like a bonding experience with my father. So when we went to casting, I had done like a couple of different sessions with people, and I ended up casting a really close friend of mine, Celia Green, and who's a wonderful actor. And so much of what Celia does in the film is actually some of my mannerisms, which is kind of interesting. But coming from that, I mean, a lot of the characters based off my own life. So we sort of sat down and talked about those events together and what it meant and the intention. And when it came to casting the father, I sort of just paired Celia up with a few different actors, and we did sort of like a chemistry thing. And in the end, Casey was like the perfect match, I would say. Yeah.
Great. Okay. One more round of questions. Can you talk about the importance of having queer themes in your work, especially in an environment right now that is daunting and people are literally trying to erase those and pretend we don't exist? Again, we'll start with Erin and Dea.
Uh, we didn't realize that making a short film about IVF for the gay couple was political at the time when he did it. And then when it started playing, it was like, oh, right, this is we have to fight for this too. So I think we just wanted to start the conversation that it's, IVF and having a child is not a straight thing, and just sort of the struggles that a queer couple goes through, kind of like double, triple, quadruple whenever you have to like go through it. And then what I enjoyed the most about it is once we did make it and tour around festivals, is people sharing their stories about how their sibling gave them sperm or their sibling carried a baby. And just it was just so validating that it was like, we are telling a story that people can relate to. This is it was just really satisfying and so nice for people to share their stories with us. Any other thoughts, Erin?
No, that you nailed it. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of like dick jokes in our movie, but they're all also very sincere.
Yeah, we do say it is like the humor is pushing the envelope a little bit, but it really does come from a place of heart, and so it was really that's why it was so satisfying to hear that it did ring true for people of just like, yeah, we are, a brother's jerking off and a sister is listening to him jerk off, that kind of, we're going there, we're going there. But for it to hit home with people I was like, I like you, I like y'all.
Daniel.
I mean, I think it's more important than maybe ever. Like, I don't, like because of that, like I know that about 2 years ago, I stopped doing any work that wasn't queer, which, was very interesting to my agents and everybody else in my world. It was like, oh my God, what's happening? And I've never been happier and I've never felt more fulfilled as a filmmaker because of that. And I just feel like, like if we're going back in, we're going back on fire, fucking loud and angry. Like we're not, I mean, like they're gonna have to shove us into whatever, little thing they want to shove us into, burning on fire like a comet. Because, and so I just think I'm so excited to meet other queer filmmakers and to see everyone's work. And just like that's kind of become my life's just everything I want to do in my life is kind of support queer filmmakers. So I can't wait to see all your films. I've seen Jamie's film, it's awesome. And yeah, just I'm so proud to be part of this festival and to be working with y'all. So thank you.
Thank you. Rebecca.
Yeah, this is amazing to hear about everyone's films with it, and I can't wait to see them. Tumtum, I first started writing a long time, like 4 years ago. I first had the idea for it, and like kind of 2 years ago when I first started writing the script, it feels like the world was in such a different place back then, and uh, thinking about gender and fluidity with this film, it's in quite a like subtle questioning sort of way, and when I look at not that I think that the film should be different because of this, but basically when everything that's going on today with the UK and US government with how horrifically they're both coming after trans people, I want to be able to do more and say more to try to put, focus on that or help in that sort of area, which I think that's a different film than what Tum is. But I hope that with this film, at least, it will sort of have people question their own gender, like cis people, for instance, question their own gender in certain ways in a kind of more like low level way, just in terms of what are gender expectations for everyone, what does that look like, and what do our gender roles look like, so that maybe it can start certain conversations around that more generally, and then meanwhile we can be actually like fighting for the more priority things. But yeah, so I think, in all of these films, hopefully anyway that we can be having these conversations, I hope is a helpful thing, with everything going on in the world.
Jay.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of my work that I've built thus far, I guess an emerging filmmaker, whatever. But I'm I have the privilege of being a queer Black woman from the South. So the culture that I have within me, being from South Carolina, being able to go to Howard and learn about Black film aesthetics and what they've done for Hollywood and for film as a whole has like blessed me with being able to talk about not only my existence as a queer woman in the world and how I move through the world, but how I move as a queer Black woman in the world and what that means to the stories I'm telling. Even with the film I brought to Out on Film before this, I was looking at not only Southern culture and folklore, but also about how queer women hold each other up in times of distress. So I think the big thing for me is being able to share stories that we don't get to look at often. I recognize all the identities I sit in, and I don't see myself often on screen. So it's really important for me to be like, I don't know, the person somebody else gets to see so they know that this exists. Like being what you can't be what you can't see, you know? So being able to share my little piece of the pie does wonders for me. And I hope that the stories I tell send that out to the viewers.
Thank you. Jamie.
I gotta say, I really battled with queerness in this film. The reason because is I've only ever written queer protagonists. That's I also like Daniel kind of made it like a very big point to my career. In this, the main character, you find out, and spoiling it's fine because it's more important to talk about this, that the woman she was assaulted by was a woman. And I really battled with having the narrative be like that because I didn't want to, aid this narrative that queer people are pedophiles or kind of give into that story. But unfortunately, it was the truth that was most real to me. And so as a queer woman, that was hard because I think I was like, am I saying something wrong here? Like, am I giving into the wrong thing? But I think, we can only have the good if we observe the bad, I guess. And so that's kind of what I found through this story.
Clayton.
So, Kansas 1989 is a portrait of some people in a moment. And the kernel I felt pushed to explore with this script and then the film was not so much a coming out story, but the ineffable, impossible to describe internal process of coming out to yourself and the layers of clarity that go like this. I mean, everyone's different. I'm not trying to paint, but in my experience, I don't know. My whole life, I'm a 52-year-old man, all right? I talk to straight people who are like, "Well, when did you figure it out?" And I'm like, I just, ugh. So I wanted to like hang back from that and do it a different way and try to do that difficult thing of visually tell a story that is about interiority. So that was that, and it's so important. And now I think it's incredibly important because all of a sudden I look back and I speak with people, younger generations, even my niece and nephew, and where I'm like, oh, I have a responsibility to do what I can do, which is bear witness and testimony to my lived experience. And so I wanted to do that to be able to have something out there in the world that represented this moment that only I was there for. Yeah. And so it's so important. And I am very grateful to be in the annals with y'all. I can't wait to see your projects. And I believe that this work is critically important.
And Sabrina.
Wow, you guys said such wonderful things. I'm really excited to see everybody's film. I think for me, when I made the film, and even now, I think it's like kind of at the core of all my work, the way my queer identity, the way my butchness informs my work and my writing, and the lens I look through and want to tell films through. I made this coming from a place of like, I don't know, I was tired of seeing the ways butches and people who look like me were portrayed and the stereotypes they were kind of like falling into. And so really wanted to explore that with nuance and have it also center around connection and like yearning for connection and to be seen as yourself by a loved one is really at the core of the film as well. Um, but I think really like wanting to see like a more nuanced telling of like this type of person on screen really was at the core of it. And at the end of my film, this is also a spoiler, but like Logan sees someone who is much older and who also is like a butch lesbian at the end, and there's like a moment between them. And I think just like also seeing the embodiment of like a future as a queer person, as a butch lesbian in the world and moving through the world is so inspiring. And it really like changed my life and my perception of what I could be and what my future could be when I was, younger. I just really, I don't know, I just thought there was like so much power with that. Yeah.
The program is Roots and Revelations. It plays Tuesday, September 30th at 3 o'clock at the Midtown Arts Center. And then we'll have a brief streaming week as well. Tumtum, Kansas 1989, Greenhorn, Donor, Meet Me, There's Something I Have to Tell You, My Age Now, are the films that make up this program. It's extraordinary. I cannot wait for everybody to see those. Erin and Taya, Daniel, Rebecca, Jay, Jamie, Clayton, Sabrina, thank you so much for sharing your films with us. Thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us today. And we cannot wait for everybody to see these films next week.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you all so much. And
Thank you so much.
I'll let you know when this is posted. I'll send you all a copy.
So thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Guys, can't wait to meet you.
Need to meet you.